How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Laughing here, and today we got some interesting and somewhat sad news to kind of talk about. But before I get into it, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. So, getting right in the news, today we had some kind of sad news if you're a Lego Star Wars fan. The new Lego Star Wars, a Skywalker Saga, was delayed today. Now, I'll be honest, if you've been following this game at all, it's not really a surprise. The developers have been super quiet on this game for a long time. To kind of put it in perspective, the delay announcement was their first tweet in 2021, and it is now April. So 4 months just in this year alone. And then honestly, their last tweet was back in, I believe, August 2020. So it has been a while. They've been super quiet. So it's not super surprising. But for fans that were hoping that they'd get it, spring 2021, like what was originally announced, they're kind of sad. For me, I just want a good game. I want the game to come out and be fantastic. They are trying to do a lot. They are trying to shove like 9 Lego Star Wars, movies into one game, while also, remastering a lot of the previous games as well. I have a feeling that the game's kind of suffered from a decent amount of feature creep without any planets, characters. They're completely reworking the combat system, and there's been some speculation from primarily Bombastic. Shout out to that YouTube channel. He does great Star Wars game kind of journalism and news, what have you. He kind of speculated that a good reason why the game might end up being delayed till later this year is them implementing a co-op system via online. There's only been like 2 Lego Star Wars games ever that have done that, and with the game being developed in the pandemic and the pandemic still going around, really wouldn't be super surprising to kind of see them implement that, because not everyone's going to be able to do the usual couch co-op that the Lego games, specifically the Lego Star Wars games, are really well known for. So in general, sad news, also not very surprising. I just hope that TTK can deliver a fantastic game whenever it is released. And I will say, as of now, we don't have a new release window. If I had to take a guess, we can probably look later into 2021, probably more around the holiday season. But hey, if we get early fall, that's cool too. This past week, I have covered a decent amount of Battlefield news, primarily from Tom Henderson, and that kind of continues today. So earlier this week, he had a really big blog post, kind of leaking potentially a decent amount of what we can expect from the next Battlefield game from DICE. And since he has released this info on the newsletter on Twitter, on his new Twitter account, he's kind of gone on to clarify some of the things in that newsletter and to kind of add more onto it. So we have kind of 2 new things to kind of cover with that. So Tom says, Battlefield is a more accurate representation of 2030's military combat compared to Final Stand, which is, I believe, a Battlefield 4 DLC pack. So no hover tanks or anything like that. Battlefield is not sci-fi. Everything is in developmental weapons and vehicles being developed right now, so no railguns unless DLC. I think that is or was a big fear when hearing about these rumors that it'd be kind of like future warfare. I think it was like Advanced Warfare from Call of Duty didn't really do all that well sales wise, especially for it being in the Call of Duty franchise. I think a lot of people were kind of scared that that would be the case. It'd just be super like fast paced, jam packed, kind of crazy combat on a large, massive scale. But at the same time, that really wouldn't feel as much of Battlefield. I do feel like Battlefield is a little bit more of a slower first-person shooter game, especially in order to really get the actual Battlefield feeling to it, that I know that they really want to go back to, since it is supposed to be a sequel from Battlefield 4. So I think ultimately this is actually good news that can help quell some of those fears. It is going to have the same kind of feeling, hopefully, as Battlefield 4, while still remaining true to the formula, but still having some more futuristic, cool kind of toys that we can play with that hopefully won't be too much in the game. Another thing that he expanded on from the newsletter is the fact that the maps are going to have not only explosions that can damage and topple buildings, but also Mother Nature. And he has a few videos of like it looks like earthquake disaster, lava, a large wave, and a tornado. So I think this would be pretty cool to be added into the Battlefield maps. For me, when I think of Battlefield, I think of really big maps with crazy things going on in them, whether it is a hurricane coming in or one of the biggest buildings in the city that I'm fighting in falling. I really feel like those like massive multiplayer centerpieces that happen is kind of core to that Battlefield franchise feeling, especially if they're trying to go back to more of the Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 feeling. I think that is a great call. I'm really interested to kind of see what that means. I hope it's not just like another hurricane, cool tidal wave, a tornado thrown in there. I think earthquake might be a little bit too much, but maybe even a volcano. I think these are some cool ideas that will kind of help spicing up the maps and keep things interesting, because I feel like especially like the longer Battlefield maps, sometimes it can get um a little boring after a while. And not to say that Battlefield itself is boring, but when you're playing those really long kind of gameplays and sometimes like one team is much better than the other, it's kind of cool to have these kind of elements that can kind of reset the map to an extent to where it's on a little bit more of a even playing field. I really like that idea, so I hope that this is implemented. So today, I'm not just talking about what Tom Henderson is talking about. I also have some interesting news from Battlefield Bulletin. So this is somewhat old and kind of news that we've known of before. But they say breaking, the new Battlefield game will be revealed in spring and launched in holiday 2021. Military warfare taking advantage of next-gen consoles. This is via the earnings call from EA in Q3 2021. Makes a lot of sense. We kind of already knew this, but another thing to kind of back that up. One thing that they do have I find really interesting, and they actually retweeted this from one of the developers that worked on, I believe it was Hardline, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, sorry, not Battlefield 3, Far Cry 3, and Battlefield 5. He is a design director for Battlefield, and he actually tweeted some interesting stuff. So he has like a box that says Battlefield Development Team, a book that says, made from home Battlefield, and a cup. So everything has that Battlefield branding that we've kind of seen, which I feel like really backs up one of Tom Henderson's claims before, just saying that the game itself is just called Battlefield. That's just kind of everywhere. Even like in his info here, it has design director for Battlefield. I do think that the next game is just going to be called Battlefield. We'll find out pretty quickly if that's true. But I think that DICE and EA especially are really big on making this the really big Battlefield that's going to kind of help propel them for the next few years, especially when it comes to earnings. Battlefield 5 did not go very well. Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, big game, had a very controversial launch, as we all know. And Battlefield 1, I feel like did okay. Hardline was a flop. So the Battlefield franchise has been kind of on the rocks lately, in my opinion. I think they're really looking back and trying to capture that lightning in the bottle that they had for Battlefield 3 and 4 and really have a game that they can support for multiple years going forward, especially with a battle royale and the multiplayer in general. If that's the case, I think it is a smart and good move. And the fact they have Criterion on board as well, kind of helping them out, really trying to get this game ready to go for the fall. I feel like it's really excellent and awesome. I hope, and I know a lot of the Battlefield fans hope, that this next game is going to be massive, awesome, and most importantly, well put together as well. So that's kind of my thoughts on what's going on with the Battlefield news today. What do you guys think? Do you think the next Battlefield is going to be huge, fantastic? Do you think its name is Battlefield, or do you think it's going to be something completely different that has not been leaked yet? Feel free to leave that down in the comments. I do want to say thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more news like this. Do something fantastic for yourself. Take care of yourself as well. And as always, take care.